Hey guys, John Moon here. Welcome to Stock Market News Podcast. Super excited. Talk to you today about something that is just like so critical for any aspect of investing. And I was reading in this business book called The E-Myth, and I'm just super excited to talk about it. It's just one quote, it's one part that just really stood out to me. So I'm going to play the intro, and then we'll be right back to share with you.
So the big question is this: how do investors like us, who don't have a PhD in finance or millions to start investing, how do we grow our bank accounts to build real savings and retirements, and yet still have the time to do what we really love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
Awesome! Okay, cool. So I'm going through this book, and it says, he's talking about all the entrepreneurs he's worked with, and like he's looking at like these businesses and how they're having challenges and how they're having difficulties like hiring employees and scaling and growing, which are super important parts, obviously, of like having a solid company. And this quote, it's amazing. He says, out of the thousands upon thousands of businesses we met, there have only been a few who have had any plan at all. Nothing written, nothing committed to paper, nothing concrete at all. They didn't have freaking, like, so many companies just don't have plans. So many people don't have plans. Because a lot of businesses are just reflections of the people that run them, right? And in reality, any plan is better than no plan at all. And, I read this and I was like, holy crap, right? Because so many people, they're going through their day in, day out. And they don't have, like, actual, tangible, written goals. And I remember when I first started writing down my goals, especially my long-term goals, years and years ago, and it totally changed everything, changed every action, every emotion and like personal drive in my life. Changed like all the action you take, because your actions align to your long-term goals. But so many people don't have those long-term goals right now. And I was thinking about this, and I realized that so many people, they have their portfolios, right, and they'll put it in like broad sector funds or market matching funds, or maybe if they just want to be in utilities, and people have like half their portfolio in utilities, and it just does terrible. And anyway, so I was thinking about this idea of like, people that are trying to grow their wealth and build real savings and retirements, and how some people have like these big goals, and you ask them what they want, and they say, everyone wants to be rich, right? But they don't actually take the 10 seconds it takes to write down specifically like, what's the amount of money that you want, and then focus on that specific number. It's not just an abstraction, because when you turn it into a concrete, physical, real thing, you put it on paper and you freaking look at it over and over again, all of a sudden there's a huge shift. The shift of abstraction to reality, because there are two stages of creation, right? The first stage of creation is mentally creating something, and then the second stage is the physical fulfillment of that. And you must put the time in to think about something and create it in your mind before you go out and try to do it. Think about Donald Trump, okay? The guy, freaking marketing amazing. He wants to become the president of the U.S., right? Like, what does he have to do to achieve that? The first thing he has to do, I've read some of his books from like decades ago, and in these books, he's talking about how he's going to become the president. And this idea, this mission, this action that he took to become the leader of the country started literally decades before he actually did the physical thing. It started in his mind, right? And the most important thing you do, the biggest step that you can take, is to actually have that jump in your mind. You have to put the time, the effort, the energy, and just the persistence in to actually believe wholeheartedly that you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. For some people, maybe that's portfolio growth. Maybe it's like, doubling their cash. I don't know. For Donald Trump, it was becoming president. But you have to visualize that first before you can turn it into reality. And then, take actions to actually turn it into your life, right? And so it's so critical, so crucial that you spend like 10% of your time planning before you actually go out there and do it. You think of Abe Lincoln, right? He's going to spend most of his time sharpening the axe before you actually start swinging at the tree. Same thing with, professional, any kind of athlete. They're going to spend a vast majority of their time practicing, training, getting swole. And I guess for some of the cross-country guys, I know they would just run like 50 miles a week just for practice before they actually get to the competition, because 99% of the work is done like, at least when you're starting, like most of the work has to get done initially in your mind. You have to have the plans and the education and the background and the understanding to actually get into whatever you're getting into. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you put in the effort to actually learn and then to actually plan where you want to go, It's 10,000 times easier. It's like, I mean, how much easier do you think it would be to build a building where you spend the first 10% of the construction time creating the blueprints and all the wiring and the plans for the electricals versus just like instantly jumping in and just starting to build on day one? Like, it's going to be significantly more difficult. You might end up building a building and halfway through you realize you messed something up on the foundation. You have to start all over. Like, that's not good. You look at Lego sets. Like, what do the people who make those do? They spend a vast majority of their time thinking about the instructions and the base and the product before they even start to actually think about, okay, well, how are the little tiny Legos going to fit into this shape? Because they have to design the freaking shape first. They have to have something to work towards, right? They have to have an end image, an end goal, an end idea in their mind before they start to put the pieces together to try to actually create it. Same thing with the puzzle. All right, you don't just freaking start with a puzzle. You look at pour out the pieces, and then you put the box back together. You look at the box, and you try to figure out if there are any patterns, if there's any image that you can kind of tell, or any colors that you can put together on the front of the box. It shows the picture of the finished puzzle. You want to look at the end product first and visualize it in your mind so you can turn it into that physical reality. It's the exact same thing with investing. You want to think about what that successful portfolio is going to look like, what the successful returns that you desire are, and then turn them into a reality by executing on the proper strategies to actually create that, to create the results, to create the returns. It all comes from the very foundational, simple concept of mentally visualizing and then physically executing. But so many people, they skip that process and they don't take time to freaking. He's showing it right here. This lady went into this business and it was a pie baking business, and it was like Jane's Pies, and she was the core of the business, and it got really, really popular because she made really awesome pies. She would work like 16, 18 hours a day trying to run this company, trying to run this business, and it was just a awful, awful, awful job for her, and by no means was it any sort of asset. And then she brought in this employee, and this employee came, and she was working, and for months and months and months, they did really, really well together. She started finally delegating, and then this employee went out and hired 3 more people over the course of a couple of months with her permission, and now they had like a whole team together, and she was basically running the entire company for her. And there's these 3 ideas that they talk about in here. This idea of the entrepreneur, the visionary, and then the manager, the person who manages everyone, and then the technician. The technician is like, the technical person doing everything. And for her, she was trying to be the entrepreneur, and she was also trying to make this other person be an entrepreneur, when in reality, all she wanted to do was work, just in a simple job, just as a manager. And so it forced her out of her comfort zone, it forced her out of her role, forced her out of her job description. She called her up one day. She said, I'm going to go work for somebody else. I can't work for you for this pay. And she left. She quit. She was done because she was not properly compensated for the additional amount of value she was adding as an entrepreneur. She walks out of the company, and then the 3 people she hired within a month leave. Everything crashes down. She goes back to working 18 hours a day. She has no one to help her. Everything is all hell because she's trying to do everything herself. She's trying to be the entrepreneur and the technician and the manager. She's trying to, pull out the pies out of the oven while at the same time running the numbers at night. And it's ridiculously difficult because you can't freaking do it on your own. You need to have a team. You need to have a mastermind. You need to have a collective unit. And she wasn't able to properly delegate, which is a shame, but you overcome that, you learn, and then you get better at working with others. But the big takeaway here is that as she started this bakery, not once did she spend 5 minutes writing down what her goals were for the company, what her goals were for the bakery, what the goals were for the pie shop. She had no written goals. And because of that, she started to have success. It very, very quickly faded away, exploded, and left her. She wasn't ready to scale. She wasn't ready to grow. And the reason why is because she didn't have plans to do it. So here's the key, right? Here's the foundation. If you don't have written plans to succeed, then any amount of trivial success that comes your way will just fade away and leave. You're just not ready for it. You have to be ready for it. You have to deserve. And then once you do deserve, once you are ready, once you have those plans, once you write it out, once you go through the process, once you plan for your future, and you put in the effort, the time, the energy, and the personal dedication, that's when the success comes. That's when the impact comes. And most significantly, that's when you have the exponential growth. So that's a really, really big message today. That's the power choice. That's the power move. I hope you guys get a ton of value out of this podcast. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
Want more stock market secrets? If so, you can get your free copy of my best-selling book, 9 to Noon. You get your free copy plus $11,176 of unannounced bonuses. It took me years to uncover, completely for free at 9toNoonSecrets.com. Inside 9 to Noon, you'll find the top 38 secrets you can use to double your portfolio every 2 years and make upwards of 10% daily.